Today we are looking at Zeev Buium, recently acquired in the Quinn Hughes trade. I know there's other players in the trade, but I only look at defensemen on this channel. So I just want to take a look at his game against New York last night and kind of how he potentially stacks up against Quinn Hughes. Obviously, it's only one game. He's younger, much younger, so it's not necessarily apples to apples, but let's take a look and kind of do an assessment of him. So Zeev Buium, he is 20 years old. He's from San Diego, California, which is awesome to see hockey players coming from warm places like that. So far this season, he has 16 points in 33 games. So offensively, that's pretty good for a 20-year-old. He's 6 foot, 183 pounds, so he's a bit bigger than Hughes. I am curious to see maybe he's a little more physical, a little more defensive. But yeah, let's check it out and see how he does. And don't forget to stay till the end where I'll give you my overall summary of Buium and some key learning points that you can take away from this game. Let's do it. All right, guys, so first shift here for Buium, and I just want to see how he starts the game. And right off the start here, I love his patience, and he's looking around the ice. So great start. He's not just kind of panicking with the puck, which already is a sign of hockey intelligence. He's taking his time, and he makes a nice, simple little play, which I also like to see. Early in the game like that, you always want to keep your play simple and just get a feel for the rhythm of the game. Especially on the road, you're in New York, Madison Square Garden, tough place to play, right? So keep it simple. And that's kind of a nice little calm, experienced feeling play to start the game. Let it run a bit more here. And again, he's acting calm. That's a really nice play. So I always say when you get the puck kind of in this area, it's a tough spot to be in as a defenseman. Reason being, your shot angle isn't great. It's a very difficult shot to get through. And if you do and you miss wide on the far side, that can result in like a breakout for the other team. And then kind of putting it back down here, it's not a bad play, but there tends to be pressure coming up the wall, especially if the puck just came from there. So the ideal play is to get the puck to the middle of the ice, and you either do that with a pass or skating. I always say a pass is best because you can pass faster than you can skate. So nice little play from Buium, showing some poise. Nice. Okay, so if you guys saw some of my other videos, like the Drew Doughty video, there's a play good players do, and it's just that quick little step off. So I'll move it back here. So if you watch what Buium does here, he kind of lets the Rangers player get close to him, and then he just gets his feet kind of around him. And just getting your feet kind of in front of that guy's allows you to get that step, and you use your hip and kind of like box out, and doing that gives you that step, and you can kind of pop around the guy. So nice little play. Looking around. Nice. Another, again, early in the game, simple off the glass play. And I've talked about blind backhands on this channel before, but there he was looking around a lot. It wasn't just a kind of knee-jerk reaction, backhand up the wall. He knew kind of where his forwards were. He knew they were coming down the wall here, so he knew where his support was. So if you're going to do that backhand up the wall like that, just make sure you're looking around. Obviously, Buium has offensive capabilities. 16 points as a 20-year-old defenseman is very impressive. But in this play here, I think he's thinking a little too offensive-minded. So as you can see, Myers here on the boards has the puck. But there's some things you need to look for when you want to join the rush as a defenseman. One of them is your teammate has to have clear possession of the puck. The other thing is he needs to be looking up ice. He can't, have his back to the play. And right now, Myers doesn't really have clear possession. Like he's on his backhand, and he's kind of in an awkward spot. And Buium here is looking to join the rush. And in my opinion, it's not the smart play right now. So ideally, he should be getting back to the corner as an outlet for Myers. As a D partner, you've got to be thinking outlet for my D partner before anything else. You've got to make sure your D partner is kind of taken care of. And in this position, Buium gets ahead of himself. So you see here now, he's kind of caught up ice. Myers is looking back. And now Myers is putting the puck kind of where Buium should be. So now Buium's going to get to the puck, but his back's going to be up the ice. And when you get a D-to-D pass, you ideally want to be facing up ice, because when you're facing up ice, you can see the ice better, obviously, and it just gives you more passing options. When you come in with your back to the play, you're kind of limited to keeping the puck going that way or going back where you're going. It's tough. You can't really do a up the ice backhand unless you're Bobby Orr or something. So he gets to it. The pressure's already on him, where if he kind of hung back earlier, like I was saying, he would have had all this space facing up ice to make a much nicer play. and he chips it up, and possession's going back to New York in their zone. So that all stemmed from Buium just thinking a little too offensive and not making sure his D partner was safe with the puck. A really tough play for a defenseman is when you get that light chip in your corner and there's a guy on you with speed. And when that happens, you pretty much have two options. First option is you get to the puck as quickly as you can and make that quick outlet pass or a hard rim around the boards and typically take a pretty big hit. The second option is you slow down a bit and tie up with the forechecker, and you both kind of get to the puck, and it's kind of like a little bit of a scrum. So Buium here, he goes for the second option. So you see how his feet kind of stop moving? That to me shows he's clearly going for that second option. But the issue here is he's kind of losing sight of the forechecker. And when you do that second option, you've really got to tie up, like really get his stick, make sure you're boxing him out well, and just really tie up with him. Buium doesn't necessarily do that, and Carrick wins the battle here and gets the puck. Takes a little shoulder to the head from Myers as well. But that to me, he just kind of got muscled off really. So obviously he's young and he's got some strength to develop still. But to me, you don't necessarily need strength to do that properly. You just got to get your body positioning right. So something to learn for younger defensemen. I always talk on this channel about being between the net and the offensive player in the defensive zone especially. And Buium kind of loses his positioning here. And this also goes back to gap control. So I know Buium, I'm pretty sure he just got on the ice, but I'd like to see him kind of get the blue and maintain speed with this guy. But instead he kind of like comes straight in. He's not necessarily at the same speed as the forward breaking here. So that already is getting him in trouble. And this guy is about to get the inside position on Buium. So you can see here, he's trying to get that positioning back of being between the net and the offensive guy, because he can tell, he feels like he's about to lose it. So he kind of has to run interference. And I don't know, maybe a little bit of a dive, who knows? But just that all stemmed from not necessarily matching the speed of that breaking forward. So you really got to pay attention to that and just maintain that position between the net and the offensive guy. Here we get to see Buium defending the rush. And when it comes to 2-on-2s, there's a few simple rules. One of them is if the forwards cross before your blue line, most of the time you don't need to crisscross with them. Just stay in your lane. And Buium and Myers do a great job here. So watch, they don't bite to the crisscross. They're holding the blue line pretty well. The only thing is they're a little off in their gap, in my opinion. That crisscross kind of messed up their gap. But the other factor is you have two forwards on the back pressure. So when you have that, you are able to sacrifice a guy essentially. And that means one of you can kind of pressure the forward, and that'll make him either have to change direction, which will make him lose speed, and then these guys can gain even more ground, or he'll have to make a pass, which risks a turnover, or he has to chip the puck in, which makes him lose possession. Either way, making them do something at your blue line increases the chances of a turnover, especially when you have that back pressure. These guys, they kind of sort of do it. I would have liked to see them a little tighter, but even that little stick kind of slows them up, and they just get the pass through. So if they held them up a little stronger at the blue line, that back pressure would have came through. And honestly, there's a pretty decent chance it would have been a chip and they wouldn't have possession. So that allowed New York to enter the zone a little easier than I'd like to see. And next you'll see here, this guy is about to get a step on Buium, and Buium can sense that. So he does a great job. See how his feet are about to get ahead of Buium? And as I mentioned earlier, getting your skates ahead of the defender allows you to get that step and body position. So Buium does a good job of defending that. And he's just, see how he's trying to maintain this position between the net and the offensive guy? It's crucial in this scenario. He keeps pushing the guy to throw him off balance, makes the guy's feet stop moving, and allows Buium to stay in a better body position. Yeah, he's doing a good job. And see how that throws the forward off? And he can't necessarily pinch Buium off on the net, because if he were to do that, it would have taken Buium right out of position. He does a good job there. And now he's joining the rush. And unlike the earlier shift, this has all the green lights for it. Your player has full possession. He's looking up ice. There's space. You got a guy caught back here. All green lights to join the rush. Much better scenario. Buium gets the pass. Little delay, which again it's a nice sign of hockey IQ, is delaying and letting your forwards get in deep, which allows you to get better possession. Trying to break through on these guys, a 2-on-3, especially if these guys play it right, your odds aren't good. So Buium does a good job. He holds up, throws a nasty little pass. So that was a good overall shift for him. We have another similar scenario here where Vancouver has numbers. So as you can see, Vancouver has 4 guys, New York has 2. New York is mid-change, as you can see. So when the other team's in a scenario like this, you really want to pressure them and get them to turn the puck over. And Vancouver doesn't necessarily do that. So like Buium, someone needs to be like right at these guys. They should not be getting this blue line without significant delay. Instead, they just walk in, no problem. So we got 1 guy and 4 Vancouver guys. Like this is way too easy access for New York. And now this guy's able to delay. They're able to do their change over here. Actually, I think my head's in the way. You can't see that. But New York's finishing their change. And look, now New York guys are entering the zone. And that was way too easy for New York. They should have completely turned the puck over earlier. And Vancouver should be breaking up the ice already. So as I mentioned earlier, when you're defending the rush after they enter your zone, it becomes more man-to-man. You stay with the guy. You will crisscross. And Vancouver doesn't really do that. Buium here, he should, in my opinion, be holding the zone a lot better because look, he has the numbers. He has the back pressure here, and it's basically 2 New York guys. So he should be holding this. And even if the New York guy gets around him, this back pressure coming through and the delay that Buium causes should still be funneling and defending well. But Buium backs off, and whatever, that's besides the point. The other issue here is now that they're in the zone here, Buium should be sticking on this guy. That's his guy. O'Connor here has got his guy. He's following the pressure to the net. But Buium kind of hesitates. He's flat-footed backing up. And O'Connor sees that. And he gets that slight hesitation and goes to cover or goes to switch. And that little switch leaves Miller open. O'Connor realizes that's not the right play, but it's too late. Dirty little pickup there by Miller, I got to be honest. And a really dangerous scoring opportunity for New York. All from just that misplay of the rush. It's very subtle, but it can break down plays completely. So something I'm starting to notice is that Vancouver's not the greatest defensively. They have a lot of breakdowns, I'm noticing, and they're really letting New York establish their cycle easier than they should. And here we'll see it again, a couple breakdowns. So right here, Buium's doing a good job guarding his guy, and his D partner gets beat. So it's about to turn into a kind of 2-on-1 down low, and Buium does a great job of defending it. He pulls off the guy he's defending, blocks the pass, kind of gives the goalie the angle, and breaks down their momentum here. So he gets it. And right now, he's in a weird angle. So he does a good job. When, as a defenseman, and you get the puck and you're trying to get it out, just go hard as you can. And usually that's on your forehand. So when you have that split moment here to get it to your forehand and get it out, take it. And that's what Buium does here. I don't think it's the best play. He could have used the net here a bit more and bought himself time. But instead, he makes kind of an awkward forehand pass, shot, out attempt, whatever you want to call it, which, again, respect for getting it to his forehand to make that hard attempt out, but it still doesn't work out. New York gets possession back, and they continue their relentless cycle. Sherwood right here, he kind of turns the puck back over. And we'll get back to it later, but just keep an eye on him right here. He's just, look at him. He's just checked out. I don't know what's going on here. He might be tired. But there's another thing we can learn from this shift. And when you have a guy like this behind the net and there's 2 of you, you have to play it in a specific way. And that is by having the guy that's closest go and the other guy rotate off, but also be ready to defend against any type of wrap attempt because the forward could use the net against your D partner. So here, Willinder should be going a lot more aggressively. He's kind of floating in. But at the same time, we're back to Sherwood here. He's just out to lunch, floating. He should be right on that guy. That guy beat him off the wall because Sherwood was being just kind of lazy earlier. And this is leaving Buium in a 2-on-1 below the hash marks yet again, just leaving him out to dry. So it's just he's not really getting set up for success. And another really dangerous scoring opportunity from New York. So Buium here is going to do his best impersonation of Quinn Hughes. Doesn't quite execute it as well, though. So he gets the puck. And in these scenarios, you have the traffic. He is kind of, I always say it's ideal to walk in rather than get it flat-footed because it makes your shot a lot less effective. So he gets a little flat-footed, so it's not the best shooting position that he's in. But he has the traffic, and he has a guy breaking to the net. Taking a nice low shot for a rebound or a tip, honestly, is probably the better option. Instead, he's kind of looking for something a little fancier. And Now, like New York's doing a great job of kind of blocking that shot. He doesn't have much. So here's his little spinorama. Now he's on his backhand. So backhand, they're closing him off. And again, I think he doesn't want to give the puck over. He doesn't want to do that simple play of a little chip. So he's waiting till it's a little bit too late, and New York picks him off. So now he's a little caught. And look, he's got his 3 forwards low, and then these guys are breaking with speed. So it wasn't necessarily the best play. Then he tries to hold up. I mean, you're up 2-0 at this point. I don't think that was the best option. Now they got a 2-on-1, almost a 2-on-0. So that all kind of stemmed from just avoiding the simple play. And I know a lot of more offensive-minded defensemen tend to avoid making the simple play. I don't know if it's an ego thing or what, but it's something as a defenseman, do not be afraid to do the simple play. As a defenseman, when you're playing a 2-on-1, there's some basics to it that you always got to keep in mind, and that is the puck carrier, what is his shot angle, and what are his passing options. So here, this basically turns into a 2-on-1. But the thing to keep in mind is this guy here, his shooting angle is behind the goal line. So you can almost leave him until he gets to here, basically where Buium is. The thing is, Buium should be moving more towards this guy because the shooter's angle is so bad. So when the shooter has a really bad angle, you can basically just leave him to the goalie. It's almost impossible for this shooter to be of a threat. And for him to get past that point I marked earlier would be very difficult. Poke check from the goalie. This guy can cut the angle off on back pressure. So realistically, Buium should be right on this guy. Instead, he stays in the middle to take away the pass. The only threat is the pass, so he should be right on the guy that could receive the pass. And instead, he kind of leaves that guy. So to me, that was a poorly played 2-on-1. One thing I really like to see from defensemen is physicality. And one of my issues a bit with Hughes was that he wasn't as physical as I'd like to see from a defenseman. He is a much smaller defenseman, so I completely understand. And he plays in an intelligent way to kind of make up for that. But Buium here, he does a good job. He's not afraid to go in there, take hits, lay the body, get a little dirty. And look at him, he's battling up front of the net. And he's doing a good job of, see how he kind of like sticks his butt out and uses his body to box out. So he's staying between the net and the offensive guy. So he's doing a great job. He is getting right in there, boxing out. That was good defense. And look at him. He is getting right in there. So I really like to see that, especially from a young defenseman. To me, that's a really good sign. When it comes to breaking out as a defenseman, you really want to beat a forechecker with a pass. You can do it with skating, but a pass is much quicker than your skating is. And it's something you want to look for. And Buium does a good job. So as I always say, the 7th man, the net, is one of your best friends as a D partner. I call it the 7th man because it can run interference on the player, but the ref can't call a penalty on it. So you really got to use it to your advantage. So when you have pressure coming from this side, one of the best things you can do is hang out here. And that's what Buium does. Because if the forward were to cut across, you can just easily come back on this side. And now you're kind of in the opposite scenario. So it's such a good tool to use, and Buium uses it perfectly. So see how big of an angle this guy has to come? So now he's going to be behind Buium. So Buium's got to step immediately just from using the net. And he steps out, and he has another forechecker on him. So when you see that, you have 2 forecheckers on you, you got to know, if you do the math, there's a 4-on-3 somewhere. So you just got to get that pass going. So Buium makes a nice quick little pass. And it's not even a good pass, but see all of a sudden, he's got 2 forwards caught low, and we got numbers. And it's the 4-on-3 that I mentioned, right? So keeps breaking up. And yeah, it turns into an odd man rush just from using the net and catching 2 guys with a pass rather than skating. So the pass doesn't even have to be perfect. It's just quick and catches those guys. As I mentioned earlier, Buium, for a 6-foot, 20-year-old defenseman, is pretty physical. And I really like to see that, especially couple that with his really good skating. And he shows it here. Just muscles the forward off the puck. And when you're in scenarios, offensive defensemen, not always, but a lot of them tend to think puck first, body second. The fact that Buium's going body first, puck second in this scenario is a really good sign to me. He gets the puck back, and then again, he's just using his body positioning and guarding the puck well. So to me, it's a really good sign. For such a young defenseman to be playing like that shows me a lot of potential. So that's it, guys. Vancouver ended up winning 3-0, so that's a great sign. And as for Buium, I think he has a lot of potential, to be honest. He's physical, he's good size, he's a really good skater. I think he understands the game really well, but he does have some things to improve. And it's just one game, so I can't make a full assessment on a player just from one game. But I think he needs good mentoring when it comes to defensive positioning. And that just comes from a good coach, older defenseman that he can model his game after a bit. But he has the tools to be actually a really good defenseman, in my opinion. And a good defenseman, by that I mean a good overall defenseman. Quinn Hughes, for example, he's very offensive. Buium will never be as good offensively as Hughes, in my opinion, based on this one game. But I think Buium has the makings of a really, really solid overall defenseman. And he's someone to me that you could actually like build a blue line around, in my opinion. He has the tools for that. He seems to be very hungry and eager, which I like to see that kind of energy. He seems like he's really willing to put himself out there and learn. So again, another important factor for being a good defenseman. But that's it, guys. Let me know in the comments if there's anyone you want me to analyze next. I'm doing full game breakdowns of the league's top defensemen to pass on my knowledge of defense to you in hopes that you'll be able to see the game a bit deeper. Hope you enjoyed.